line 7211. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant Orenthal James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of Penal Code Section 187.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lana Zach.
And I'm Errol Barnett. We begin with breaking news. You saw the infamous moment there. Buffalo Bills Hall of Fame running back O.J. Simpson, who was acquitted of the 94 slayings of his ex-wife and her friend, has died from cancer at the age of 76. And he is considered by some to be the greatest running back who ever lived. Simpson was the first man to ever rush for more than 2,000 yards in one season, and he did it in just 14 games. Of course, he's largely remembered for that high-profile moment we just showed you, the murder trial for the killings of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. He was found liable for the killings in a civil suit, though, brought by the victims' families.
We want to bring in now Zoey Tur. She's a news documentary filmmaker with News Media Films. She was piloting that helicopter that actually broadcasts the O.J. Simpson police chase in Los Angeles in 1994, capturing all of our attention. Zoey, discuss what it was like actually being the pilot in the air, broadcasting what the entire country tuned into, that low-speed chase.
It was surreal, to say the least. It felt like somebody had punched me, in the chest. Here was O.J. Simpson, this television star, this movie star, a man that golfed with presidents, running from the police like, the other 200-300 pursuits I've covered. It was shocking. And to be able to find him, of course, we're in the news business and we wanted to find him. I was just shocked that we did.
Zoey, how did you find him? I mean, Los Angeles is massive. The number of vehicles on the road on any given day, let alone the early 90s, is in the tens of thousands. Take us inside the helicopter. How did you capture the moment?
Well, it started outside the helicopter at Parker Center, LAPD's police headquarters in downtown Los Angeles. Lieutenant Gascon, the spokesperson for the LAPD, announced that O.J. Simpson was supposed to turn himself in, but was in the wind. And it took me a second. I had to ask him, in the wind? And he goes, O.J.'s a fugitive. He's didn't show up. We're searching for him. So every law enforcement agency in, the United States now is looking for O.J. Simpson, every reporter, the public. And so I looked at my crew. We were downtown, said, let's get to the helicopter. We walked across the street to the heliport. I got into my helicopter, and then the discussion moved to, where would a malignant narcissist go? And I thought it would be the gravesite of Nicole Simpson Brown. And I flew down to Orange County, which is drive time about an hour and a half from downtown LA at that time. The helicopter is about 20 minutes. I went to the gravesite, no OJ. There was a undercover vehicle staking it out. So they had the same suspicions that I had. And then my assignment desk manager radioed me and said that there's been a sighting at the El Toro Y. And I was listening to the FBI frequencies, and sure enough, she was right. Mary Helen Campos was her name. Anyway, I looked down, through the chin bubble right below, and there was a white Bronco, and I couldn't believe it. And then to confirm that it was OJ, the first sheriff's unit arrived, the second, the third, the fourth. Flip of the switch, we were on, the air live with close to 100 million viewers around the world watching this spectacle start, and it gave birth to reality television because the audience was huge, and it was just crazy.
You spoke about Los Angeles at the time, how much you loved and sort of fed off of the city. And as we're trying to understand this particular moment in time, and you brought us some of the most iconic images, I'm wondering if you can share some of your reflections.
Reflecting about this, first of all, I want to say that you cannot forget the victims. Ron Goldman didn't deserve this. Nicole Simpson Brown didn't deserve this. OJ got to live to 76 years old, and he got to die surrounded by family members and grandchildren. The reality is they didn't get that. They didn't get that. They never got to live out their lives and die in their own beds. So my heart's out, for the surviving members of the family. And good riddance to O.J. Simpson. It couldn't have come sooner. He was not a nice person. And true to form, it appears as though, at least now, that he died without sending a message, at least giving some closure to the family members, acknowledging his role in the killing. I mean, this man wrote a book, How I Did It, or If I Did It. It was If I Did It, and I mean, what kind of person does something like that, And so,
well, Zoe, we really appreciate you taking us inside the helicopter, giving that first-person account of how you tried to figure out where O.J. Simpson was at the time, and we appreciate you joining our coverage, Zoey Tur.
Of course, thank you.
We now want to bring in Jim Newton. He's a former editor-at-large for the Los Angeles Times and was the lead reporter on O.J.'s trial in the early 90s. He interviewed O.J. in February of 96 and nearly came to blows with him, we understand, according to a follow-up article written years later. Jim, what's your reaction to this news and the legacy O.J. Simpson leaves behind?
Well, I was startled to hear the news. I didn't realize he was sick, much less approaching death. So, of course, surprised. Legacy, boy, that's a hard question. I mean, he obviously has a legacy as an athlete, but his memory in Los Angeles, of course, is his life as an athlete was vastly overshadowed by the circumstances of this case. So I don't know what a legacy what kind of legacy a murder defendant leaves, but whatever it is, that's what he left.
Jim, it's interesting because we've heard from different people who have very different feelings about justice being served or not being served in this case. Errol mentioned your interview in 1996 and that it was contentious, to say the least. I'm wondering if you could share the insights that you had coming out of that.
Yeah, it was a strange episode. My colleague Henry Weinstein and I were sitting in the newsroom, and Simpson actually called into CNN to say something, and he said something about coverage and was complaining about coverage. And our lawyer, Carlin Galler, suggested that we should just drive over to his house and talk to him about it. So we did, and he let us in. And we talked for quite a while there in his breakfast nook. It was contentious. He had complaints about coverage. At one point, he tried to take my tape recorder because he was worried that we would sell the tape. That's when we sort of got into it because I reached up to get it back. And I must say, I thought for a moment that we might come to blows. And my first thought, I guess because I'm a newsman, was that Henry would have a great story about it. But it's actually the only time I ever sat down with him one-on-one, despite the fact that I was in the courtroom for many months, just a few feet away from him.
And Jim, what I think is interesting is in coverage of O.J. and even in discussing now his death, you kind of have two topics. There's the man himself, who he was, the imperfection, the criticism, but also the fascination over that trial and what it says about the United States and the rest of us. As a reporter who covered that trial at the LA Times, what did the trial of O.J. tell the rest of Los Angeles and the country about itself?
Well, those are the big questions. I would say it's important to remember that the Simpson case unfolded here in the media just less than 2 years after the beating of Rodney King, I guess 3 years after the beating of Rodney King by LAPD officers in Los Angeles. So issues of policing and race and racial justice and excessive force, all were they were certainly at the center of my coverage and very much at the center of civic life in Los Angeles. And so I think it's important to realize that because this case unfolded with that still very much in the air, we'd had a riot over those issues. When there were allegations by the Simpson defense team that the LAPD could have framed Simpson or focused exclusively on him, a prominent black man, those were not to be taken lightly at the time. And so I think as the trial played out, we saw stark racial differences in the way people received and heard the evidence in that case. And so it was certainly a reminder of the deep divisions along race and class in Los Angeles, and I think in the country at large.
Jim, as you're going back in time and thinking about how you covered this, is there anything in particular that jumps out to you about, wow, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done something differently, or even that becomes so much more important now as I think back on things?
Yeah, I don't have, maybe I should have something that I feel like I should have done differently. I'll tell you what really sits with me all these years later. I was in the courtroom the day the verdicts were read. And I remember Simpson and the defense team's kind of sense of triumph and victory. But what really lodges in my memory is the sound of Kim Goldman bursting into tears. And, for all of the trappings of sort of a circus, there was kind of festivity around this trial almost. There were people selling T-shirts and things outside. That moment always brings me back to the real story here, which is this was a brutal double murder with real victims
who never ultimately got the closure they were seeking. Jim Newton, we so appreciate you giving us some insight from your point of view. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.